Hey, what's up, everybody? Romeo Marquez Jr. here. Welcome to video number 3 of the Best Year Yet series. And I'm here with my soul sister, my sister from another mister. Her name is Tiffany Peterson. Thank you so much for being on here, Tiffany.
Oh my goodness. Anytime, my friend and my brother. Anytime we can get together. It's the biggest party for me as it is for anybody else. So
woo, 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 woo. Party in the profit in the party. It's about to go down. So check it out. I just want to give you some knowledge and gems on who Tiffany is. And it's a real quick bio because there's a lot more to share. You could check her out on her website at tiffanyspeaks.com. All right, here we go. Tiffany Peterson is a seasoned speaker and international coach, most well known for helping people to master their self-esteem and sales confidence to create a sustainable income to fulfill their business dreams. She has worked with many authors and speakers such as Jack Canfield, Robert Kiyosaki, and Franklin Covey. And there's like so much more she has accomplished. And again, if you want to check more about who she is and see her work on YouTube, just type in Tiffany Peterson. All right, Tiff, Best Year Yet series, and we're trying to elevate some goodness for our businesses and life as an entrepreneur. And so just to start it out, what would you say are 3 ways people can up-level their business in 2018?
So first off, the thought that comes to my mind is first and foremost, and I believe this and see it wholeheartedly for myself and for others, is that you are your business, no matter what your business is. And so to up-level yourself, and that means up-leveling, your self-care. And you hear me talk a lot about this, but body, mind, and spirit, it's really focusing in on, are you nourishing your mind? Are you nourishing your body? Are you nourishing your spirit? Where you're making yourself a top priority. A lot of times when we're ready to grow our business or we're wanting to increase sales or, rank advance or get promoted or whatever the case may be, which is all fantastic, but everything is energy. And I think that's worth writing down. Everything is energy. And so when you think about, are you energetically playing at the level of what you want to manifest or attract into your life or into your business? And so there's this concept, it's not new, that's taught for years, obviously, this law of attraction, or really though, the universe is just playing off a match game. And so when you think about, am I energetically aligned to achieve or receive what I want? And I remember years ago, a friend, Scott Duffy, go follow him. He's fantastic. Great shout out for him. But I remember writing, and he's a fantastic trainer and speaker, does a lot of business branding and so forth. And he does a ton with entrepreneur.com and so forth. Just saw him in December here with Brennan Burchard. We all got to hang out and spend a little time together. So that was fun. Point is, Scott was sharing of all the business advice he could give. If you're serious about growing your business, I remember he posted this on social media once on his account that said, if you're serious about growing your business, work out every day. And we often, so I'm going to tell you a few other things to up-level your business, but you are your business, right? Like, I'm the power plant of my life, of my business. You're the power plant of your life, your business. And so everything is energy. And so it's looking at, that doesn't necessarily get new information. And some of you might be tempted to kind of tune me out or gloss over that, but really is tune in and ask the question, what do I know I already need to be doing? Is a really good self-reflective question. Is, what's my own body craving more of, my soul craving more of? And it might say, peanut butter, chocolate chip, something. But really, if you ask what you're really needing or what you feel like you already feel drawn to, is implementing some things that will increase your own personal energy, getting better sleep at night, decluttering your space, a lot more water and healthier nutrition and movement. Now, I'm still going to have my sweets. I still, do things. I'm not in for myself that really like, oh my gosh, it has to be the all or nothing thought. But I am really clear about what kinds of things are in my thoughts, my mind, my body, and spirit regularly. So that's number 1 for sure, is pick at least one thing. For me, I'm really focused on consistency with increasing of water, and I'm carrying around lots of, water bottles and things.
What? That's right.
Hey, cheers, right? Cheers. But is really being focused on at least one habit that you're going to implement. And the thing that I love about picking something small, like, I'm going to drink 40 ounces of water a day, at least as a new benchmark for me, is it's 1, it's doable. And 2, it's the compound interest concept, right? Is it something simple and small and it's very doable? That way it means it's also easy not to do. If you've ever read the book Slight Edge, which is fantastic, right?
Yeah.
That kind of concept. But really thinking about that for yourself is, what one health habit, how will I increase my energy physically, mentally, or emotionally? For some of us, that might be decluttering. Some of us, it might be fuel. Some of us might be exercise. But really up-level yourself, because you're the energy that's running the business. And that energy has so much influence to productivity, to what you're attracting, what's coming into your life, how you problem solve, how you think, is based on where your capacity is at with your own energy level. So hands down, I mean, that could be all three, and we could just say
Right.
spirit. I'll type in two more if you want me to.
Please do.
Or anything you want to say on that?
No, that's perfect. Keep it going. Keep it going.
So I would say strategy number 2 for sure is looking at, for every single one of you, is thinking about how can you share more value online or in person. Is people who are adding value to the marketplace or adding value online are people that are going to be attracting value, right? There's this quote by Tony Robbins where he says, dollars follow value. So anytime someone says, I want to grow my business, great. It's asking then secondary to me in a sales conversation is, I want to grow my sales. I want to grow my business. Awesome. Next up then is, how do I add more value? And whether that's adding more value, like what you're doing, Romeo, and putting together this, these live casts and then your live event and so forth. So for some of you, that might be a YouTube channel or a podcast, or, sharing value in that way. For some ways, it might be that you're choosing to go to your existing clients and, send them a free gift or take them to lunch or appreciate them, love on them, that kind of thing. But whatever way value comes up for you, is if you want to raise the income or the production of your company or your sales, is how can I add more value? And they follow suit to each other. And so I know for me, that's always kind of in the thoughts for myself, is adding more value matched with, for me, like I'm launching a podcast this year, which you know about because we've talked about, it's doing a brand new one and moving into that space, but really wanting to add a lot of value that way is a big focus for me this year. But it's focusing on that for each of you is what kind of comes up. So that's one way to consider it. And number 3 is, I've touched on this as under number 2, but I want its own specific point, is to really become intentional with your relationships. And what I mean by that is the concept of the phrase nourishing your network, is that we're all in the people business. So I don't need to know each of you individually or your story to know that you're in the people business. And therefore, it's how do you make people more the business? And like we were just talking about, similar, adding more value, but to get intentional. I say that, intentional with your time. And there's a couple of pockets of people that I invite you to really be conscious to nourish. Number 1 is personal life, right? Again, it goes back alignment with everything being energy. And if at home things are going well, but date nights with spouses or significant others, date nights with kids if you have them, but really taking time, whether it's handwritten notes or a little overnight getaway, but to really nourish your relationships in that way. Secondary is, I want you to look at your existing clients. Where most people get sales or miss a big opportunity in sales is, we often think of sales, which, as you say, grow your business, to me has a lot to do with sales. Not always connected, but a big piece of it, right? Is that I'm thinking about then is how you take care of your existing clients or even previous clients. Is people do business with those they know, like, and trust. That's not new information. So we know we're in the relationship business. It's just about like, hey, the people that have already written you a check at one time, or they're currently writing you a check, is to go nourish those people, love on them, call them, go to lunch with them, put a note in the mail, send them a gift, appreciate and love on them. One thing, I have a video on my YouTube channel, and it's old, so my style's a little old, but the content's still just as relevant, called Get Clients Now. And this comes from a woman you actually know, but she and I were coaching the year that I met you in the assisting team scenario with Jack Canfield years back. And she lives out of Canada. She's a professional organizer, and she had books and a product and things. Well, when I met her and she hired me to be her coach at the time, she was really in a lot of transition. She was getting divorced. She was moving. She had some things come up. And on like our second coaching call, she shared with me, she was like, hey, I've really got to make some money. I'm pretty stressed. And I gave her the following assignment that I'm about to share with you, and the full details and scripting and languaging and so forth you can find on YouTube, which again, as Romeo said, it's just my name, Tiffany Peterson. So I say to this love, I say, okay, here's your assignment. I want you to list out 10 people you've already done business with. Again, professional organizing is her work. And I said, I want you to call them, and I want this to be the template of what you're going to say to them. Number one is just simply, hey, I've just been thinking about you. Because she went with the 10 that came to mind. And I said, number two, I want you to ask them and just check in, like, how's life? How's your space? How's your home? How are our kids? And then wrap up with finally the question, is there anything I can do to support you? And gave her that assignment. Unbeknownst to me, that was a big stretch for her, because her fear was, gosh, my clients or people I've worked with, they already know what I do. If they were interested, they would call me.
Right.
Rather than seeing it as, no, you're connecting and checking in. It's a connection call. Write this down. It's a connection call, not a sales call. Mm-hmm. So I just coached her to go connect with 10 people she'd already done business with, 10 people who have already written her a check in the past. Mm-hmm. And what was fascinating, a week later, we got on the phone and she was sharing how that was outside her comfort zone, really was a big stretch for her. However, 50% of those people, 5 out of 10, booked with her on the spot for more services. She paid for coaching, paid for her stuff that she needed to catch up on and all of that in one simple assignment. And it was a huge lesson for her on a couple of levels. But what was fascinating to her was how many of those people said, I've been thinking about you, and I've been out and hadn't, and that she was just reaching out to connect. And the other 5 that didn't buy from her, again, she didn't call and say, hey, I'm offering an organizing special. She called to say, been thinking about you. How's life? How's your space? Is there anything I can do to support you? Now, that's $1 million question and worth writing down, putting on a 3x5 card and putting in your office. Is there anything I can do to support you? Mm-hmm. And so again, when you've already worked with people, it's so overlooked in relationships. Right. Or the people you've already done business with, is to reach out, reconnect. How are you? Is there anything I can support you with? You know, and even if they say, no, I'm doing so good, but thanks. And it's like, it's so great to hear from you. And you know, good luck with this thing you have coming up, or if I can ever be of support, let me know. You know, of course, I love to just stay in touch, and maybe next time you're in town, let's grab lunch or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. You're just making connection, and that's what grows a business. I love to say, and I teach in my full sales training, is that connection equals clients equals cash. And so when you master the mindset around I'm a connector, and how am I going to connect more intentionally at home, as I mentioned, secondly, with existing or previous clients, and then, of course, third, go hang out and spend time in new spaces to meet new people. Go out to a networking group. Go to a personal development group. Please come to Romeo's event. I'd love to meet you there as well. Mm-hmm. And that's not just a shameless plug. Seriously, it's an event. It's a value full of so much, event full of so much value. Mm-hmm. Plus, you'll network with other positive, like-minded people. And that's a lot of times where I meet a lot of clients, is at other people's live events, is that you just start connecting with people. And so that could be a live event. It could be a networking group, you know, a meetup group or something like that, but get out and intentionally connect and expand your network. I like to go to places that there's a fee to participate to get in the room, because there's free events, at least here in Utah where I'm based, there's free events. There's nothing wrong with that, but I like to be in rooms and events where people have had to ante in, because it's tends to be or can be a different mindset that's there. And I like to connect with and, you know, meet and become friends or even clients with people that, you know, invest in themselves. So those are a few things for me, is definitely up-level your self-care, up-level your value. And a lot of times that means increase the content you're sharing, or at least become intentional about content you're sharing online or in person. And number 3 is definitely to nurture relationships, is a way that you absolutely, you know, like increase or put your business in a momentum focused direction.
Damn. That's all I got to say is damn. Like, I feel I'm complete with this series. Like,
are we done? Okay. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, we're done. We're good. I hope you're writing this stuff down, you guys, those that are watching, because we just getting started. And she's going to be at my live event. It's going down. Anyway, let's second question.
Where do they find out about your live event, though? And I don't know, so I'm not pretending.
Yeah, so
what's the website, or how do they find us?
So the website is itstimelive.com, and it's taking place in the Bay Area, February 10th to the 11th. Thanks for asking.
Okay.
And Tiffany is going to be one of the superstar speakers there. All right, so much to do in the business, you know, scheduling, time blocking. What would you say what's your approach on scheduling your week so that you can become productive and effective as an entrepreneur?
Do we have like an hour?
Let me
Okay,
time
we
block
don't.
that.
So let's make this about 6 minutes and let's get really clear. Is number one is all of you go buy the book or download the Audible version of the book Essentialism by Greg McKeown. I'm listening to that again this January. It's the third year. I read or listen to that book twice a year, every year, the last 3 years, right? Like some people I do read new books every year too, but I'm definitely in the path of mastery, and some of the best work I've ever read on this topic of how do I focus, where do I put my time, how do I use my schedule, right? How do I maximize my value, return on investment, if you will, of time? That's a great question. I love for all of you to look at. If I was in a business strategy session with any of you, I'd have you map out and look at what are my highest revenue producing activities, or what activities have the highest return on investment. And so when you look at that, you can start to get really intentional about what then has prime time real estate in your calendar. And then so it starts with deciding what your priorities are, priorities personally and priorities in business. So then we go into time blocking or scheduling. And I wasn't planning on this, Romeo. I didn't know you were going to ask me this. So this is just right here. But I use personally this system. And so you can kind of see, and I'll explain what it is. But these are blocks of time where I've gotten intentional, right? Obviously you're in the schedule and things, but I have a couple of blocks of time this week that are focused on, it says creative focus. And so I'm really intentional of what's going to happen in that time. And then there's some coaching sessions booked in there as well and things like that. But it's just being really clear. What's called time blocking is I've found, I don't know how you feel about this, but I found a lot of times the thing or the challenge is to get in the zone. Kind of like with the gym, if I'm going to the gym versus like on a walk or whatever. But the hard part is getting through the door of the gym. I don't know if you relate to that.
Oh, yes, of course.
But once you're there, it's much easier to stay there and do the rest of your sets and to get in the groove and get moving and so forth. The hard part's getting there. So I see projects similar is to create for yourself is time blocks where they're intentional blocks of time that you get in the zone and stay in the zone for 60 minutes to 2 hours. So somewhere between 1 to 2 hours, you're in this like productivity zone of like say you're going to write 4 newsletters all at once for the month, or instead of making 2 or 3 calls a day, do a block of 2 hours and just crank out follow-up call after follow-up call. And so the same kinds of things. So like where I'm working on a website and creative blocks, or I coach in blocks, I'll do a lot of, I'll do say 2 to 4 coaching sessions back to back to back, rather than have them all all over my calendar or spread out. I want to, if I'm in coach mode, I stay in coach mode and I go coach, complete, rather than coach, trade out the dishes, check Facebook, run this, get on the phone, maybe make a call or 2, back to coach. It's really disjointed. So I like intentional blocks of time of sometime, and you could do full days, could have a theme, or half days. It's like, when's my marketing time? When's my fulfillment time? I have lots of videos on this stuff on my website too. So I'm kind of going really fast to like be succinct, but there's a lot of juicy videos on my YouTube channel around time and planning. The other last thing I want to say with time, so much of time is really about productivity. And what's so much about being productive is managing our distractions. And so like for me, one tip is that I invite all of you, if you're getting any kind of notification from social media to your cell phone, is go to your settings and turn off every notification. You don't need to be notified every time someone likes your photo on Instagram, right? And I love the gram, don't get me wrong. And I love Facebook, but I don't get any notifications. And the second thing on my phone is 95% of the time my phone's on complete silent, like right now. So it's not going to disturb me while I'm doing this. It's not going to disturb me while I was coaching the hour before. It's not going to disturb me while I'm writing out content. Is that way my phone isn't a tethering to me, like it can just run your whole life. And so a lot of that is, am I creating focused space? Am I creating an ability where I can really just, dial in? So for me, often if I'm working on something creative, my emails shut off, it's not up in the background, things like that, is really being hyper focused on creating the ability to be productive. And productivity often for me comes from having focused space, which means I'm managing my distractions. But yeah, a lot of that just begins though. Again, Essentialism is a fantastic resource that helps you get really clear about what is your core essentials? Because there's a lot of good things we could be doing with our time, even some great things. But what are your essentials? Essentials in your body and health, essentials in your marriage, essentials in your business is the same thing as, right? We don't have the time or even the mental bandwidth to do all the things. We have to pick. And we don't sometimes want to pick because we're afraid of what will I have to give up, as he talks about in his book, or what will I miss out on, but rather reframe the question of what am I all in for this season of my life or for this week, right? Like get all in on like, hey, I'm really all about this thing, this project, this experience. And it doesn't mean you're oblivious to the other things or that you never check your email. It just means put some boundaries on those things in your life. So your time isn't just a big, distraction space for you.
Thanks for breaking that down. All right, so check it out. I take care of mind, body, spirit. I'm adding value. I'm connecting with a lot of great people. I go through essentialism and I focus on the essentials, and boom, life hits. Business isn't going the way I want to. Now I'm feeling unmotivated, and I'm in this mode of meh. And I feel discouraged, right? So in times of feeling discouraged or feeling unmotivated because things didn't work out in your favor, how do you approach something like that?
Yeah, so I have two thoughts. Number one, prayer is a really big part of my life.
Amen.
So literally, and I respect people have various ways they connect to a higher power and various titles. But for me, prayer always brings me back to centering. It doesn't mean that prayer just naturally cleans up the stuff or the challenge, but it gives me peace and clarity often and comfort, and it helps me connect with my senior partner, if you will. And so for me, first and foremost, when you ask that question is like, yeah, because real life is that things happen, or like when you got sick, or we've all been sick, or, a client or a contract you thought was going to go your way and doesn't, or, you have a plumbing issue show up or whatever, or loss of a loved one. I mean, from disturbances to loss to everything, like we all can go through stuff. So for me, prayer for sure. The other thing too, Romeo, is similar to what I've mentioned, is that when my self-care is in a good spot, and part of my self-care means I'm spending time in prayer and meditation. I may be doing yoga, time out in nature. But if I'm well nourished in my roots, right, then when the storms come, I'm not as easily flip-flopped around because my roots are really well grounded, because I'm already in habit form of doing things that help me know my center and help me know my inner voice, that intuition. And so it helps me be in a space of trust, and I'm more apt to be calm. Doesn't mean I'm calm perfectly, but I am more apt to be calm and come from clarity and come from, okay, well, what's this here to teach me? What's this about? All right, trust. And like, I'm less freaked out or less like taken off center if my self-care is in a really good spot. So that for me, and that, I know that sounds like, and that is, I'm saying it from the languaging of preventative care. And sometimes my own self-care is off. And so a big way though, how when life is struggling or disappointing, is definitely coming back to take better care of yourself. Again, mind, body, spirit, where maybe that means, hey, it's 4:00 and I'm in my pajamas on the couch with a movie and a cup of tea, or reading a book, or I'm going to unplug from technology and go on a walk, or go meet with a close friend, someone I really trust, and, nurture that. But you just you pour into yourself when life, I think you should pour into yourself regularly, clearly. But I think that especially when life kind of brings you those experiences, that you make a more intentional effort to nourish yourself.
Most definitely. I think it just goes back to what you were saying earlier. You are your business. It's not, this is me and this is my business. You are your business. So that's so important. So let's say,
how about you? Would you answer the same question?
100%.
When life throws you a curveball, what helps you?
100%. You said it. I really take care of me before I take care of others or serve the world. I serve me before I serve the world. So morning rituals, so important. I connect with my mind by reading. I connect with my soul and God by meditating. I review my goals and saying these affirmations, and also including my gratitude journal. Like, while things might be a hot mess or not going in my favor, there are a lot of still many great things that are going in my favor, and it's those little things that we may discount or forget about that really do matter, that helps us live, breathe, and serve. And so nurturing self-care is gold. Like, people might say something, or this contract didn't work out, or this engagement didn't go the way I wanted. It's like, okay, thank you. What does this mean? How can I be better? Where can I have adjusted something? But all that roots from me taking care of me. So ditto what you said, girl.
Yeah, so true. Basic principles, but they do it. They make a big difference.
So how about when you're dealing, with sales and going for the clients, and you're dealing with rejection? Let's I know you have a video on this, but what can you say about overcoming rejection?
Yeah, so good. I'm glad you reminded me of that. There is a great video on my YouTube channel called Reframe Rejection.
Yes.
It's a really powerful one, and I'll probably say different things today because I don't remember what's in the video. I'll know the same heartbeat that's there. And then there's one also called Overcome Objections. So sometimes it's an objection you're dealing with in sales, not a rejection.
Oh, that's
so both
good.
would be really valuable to look at. Is that, sometimes in sales, it's really common, especially as you're relationship building, if, we come out of the gate a little hot and we get turned down. And even if we take it, there's no like perfect right way. But I do believe, get to know someone first before you make them an offer, right? In terms of, rather than, hey, just buy from me kind of thing. But I think the question is really important, is the biggest thing with rejection is what's the story we tell and what we're making it mean about ourselves. And so when we go, oh, I put myself out there, I made this offer for someone to come to a class, or I made an offer of my product to someone and they said, no, thank you. And we want to take it personally. It is, of course, tempting, and it's very natural of the human. But if you're on the path of greatness and you want to become a high achiever, top performer, then we look at rejection with curiosity, and we get clear about, so like if someone tells me no and says, no, thank you, or I'm not interested, and I might still have a sting of that feeling for a moment, but I've done a lot of work to get curious about it, to say, what's this really about? Or what am I making this mean about me?
Right.
And so when any of us are feeling that, I think that's a great thing to consider, matched with also just understanding that timing's a big part of it. We know that on average, people have at least a minimal, typically for the majority of your business is based on what's called the law of 4 interactions. You're going to have an average of 4 interactions. 60% of sales close after a 4th interaction. So sometimes it may be timing. They may not be ready. They may need more information. I think it's always good to ask for feedback. So if someone tells you no, to say, would you be willing to help me understand why? Is there something I could do to improve? Is there something that didn't resonate, but I'm committed to getting better, and would you be willing to give me the feedback? Right? And they still may not give you the feedback and just say, well, it's just not my thing. I'm not interested. And they may say, I don't know that much about it yet, or I'm not sure if my husband or my wife is on board. But it's asking for some of that feedback. But regardless of their response, is really becoming clear, are you on a mission? Right? Like that helps me is, are you a purpose-driven business owner? And if you're on purpose or on a mission, then you understand that that's part of the process, that some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting, the 4 SWs, right? So what? And you continue to move forward, as there are people that are looking for your product or service, that just the way you do it, they want to meet you and they want to work with you. And so it's trusting in that process at some level is part of it. But I think it's normal. It's that we all fear rejection. Why most people don't take action on their goals, or where they get stuck, or where they struggle the most, is in the fear of what will other people think of me. What they're really afraid is, gosh, will I be rejected? So as I work a lot, I work with mostly women in business, women entrepreneurs. I work with a handful of men too, but mostly they're all self-employed entrepreneurs. And a lot of times it's the permission conversation or the fear again of rejection is, well, gosh, what if I'm, outshine my husband or my wife, or what if I outshine my, friends, or is this really okay? Am I going to be accepted in love? Being accepted in love is a core human need. And so most people play it safe because they'd rather not feel the potential. Most people aren't afraid of actual rejection because we've all been rejected at some level or point, and we've obviously lived through it and it was fine. It didn't it is what it is. Mm-hmm. What's running the show often is the fear of being rejected. And so it's a potential possibility that I could be. And since that feels scary and uncomfortable, I won't step in the arena. But then if you're not willing to step in the arena for potential rejection, do not expect that all the rewards will just come to you because you're a good person. You have to put yourself out there if you want to grow. Right. And so it's easier for me to say that than for any of us to live it, but it's just simple truth is to have a new mindset shift around what you're making rejection mean, what it means about you, and that you can shift that back into, hey, I'm here to offer value and I want to help you. And if it's a yes, great. And if it's not a yes, great. And maybe in the future, if I can support, just realize sometimes a no today is not a no forever. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's just timing too, is part of the sales dance at least, and looking at that. So.
Boom, whoop, there it is. So many gems, so much love and advice. And speaking of advice, in regards to business, what is the best business advice you've ever received?
I have a few that come to mind. I've had the fortune of some great mentors in my life. Mm-hmm. The one that most strongly intuitively comes up, so I'm going to trust that's what your audience needs to hear, is many years ago, a friend of mine in the speakers world, he's a very well-known Hall of Fame speaker in the NSA world, and he's made a very nice living and great speaker. And he was helping mentoring me when I was beginning my speaking path years back. And I remember a statement he said to me, and he said I've heard him say it a few times in different environments, but he's made the statement that who you are off stage is 10 times more important than who you are on stage. And he's talking, I think, to me, a lot about personal integrity and accountability. And, any of us on a stage, whether a physical stage or on social media, we can post the positive quotes, but are we living them? Right. And committed to that. And so, it's easy to teach, but I've found in life that if you're going to be teaching things, the universe also serves you up a lot of opportunity to practice them. And so it's just really, it's like who we are behind closed doors or off camera or off stage, how we treat the person that maybe, doesn't have a big name and title, how we show up, how we, take care of ourselves, how we, all the things like that. And that really just often rings true. And I think that was really good business advice for any of you. Some of you may not obviously be a professional speaker as part of your life, but you have a part of life that's public and that's visible and it's seen versus, behind the scenes and who am I and what choices am I making and how am I showing up for myself? How am I showing up for others? That kind of thing I think really matters. And not that any of us, I think the other piece to that though, Romeo, is not to use that as a way that we feel guilt or shame at all, but as an inspiration to who I want to become. Because none of us are perfect, myself included. And that mentor I've mentioned is not either. But the reality of the commitment to who am I becoming and that we're aware of those conversations for ourselves, that we're in the doing part of the business of life, not just the speaking or posting part of life.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Other than essentialism, what is another book you would recommend?
Can I recommend more than one?
Okay.
That's really hard. That would be like, if I had kids, I don't, but if I did and I say I had 3 or 4 kids, what's your favorite kid? Like, well, they all are different parts of your life. So definitely, I'm thankful I already said essentialism because then I don't feel the pressure of that. But I would say three solid books that I think are game changers. Number one, you won't be surprised because we share this love, is The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. So Romeo and I met through Jack's work and have become very dear friends and have partnered on lots of things over the years. But the Success Principles, I sometimes call it the Success Bible because it's just like thick book of all universal principles. You can read it cover to cover, or you can just jump in on any principle that's up for you. And so especially if you are a leader in your company or leadership within your team, or even just leading yourself, there's so many juicy principles, from goals to mindset to productivity to time management, all the things. So I really like the Success Principles. I absolutely love and endorse the book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Big Leap, L-E-A-P, Gay Hendricks. And that is work, personally, of all the books I've read in personal growth, if I had to pick one, it would be that one for overall personal development recommendation. And all of my private coaching clients have to read that book before we start coaching session one, is because I'm that committed to it. It's basically talking about becoming aware of how you self-sabotage, how you unplug your own lamp, right? What we might call your comfort zone, he calls your upper limit. And we all have an upper limit. We all have a comfort zone with money, a comfort zone with attention, comfort zones. As humans, we tend to repeat what's familiar. So that doesn't always align with what we want. What we repeat is familiar. And so really being aware, but it's fantastic work, some great exercises of real having clarity there, so you can condition yourself to receive more. That's why my coaching clients have to do it, is they're hiring me because they want to receive more. And it's a piece of the puzzle of how we help them open up and condition themselves to receive the things they want. So I would say The Big Leap. And finally, a book that I, again, reread many times. I read similar to Essentialism at least once, if not more like 2 or 3 times in a year, is a book by Marianne Williamson. And it's called The Law of Divine Compensation. And so whether, and the subtitle is on work, miracles, money, and work, or something like that. But how your gifts and compensation and money and miracles and being open to that, and a healthy mindset about money. I just love, it's applicable to all things, not just money, but it's a really good read. And I recommend that one highly too.
Awesome.
What would you recommend? And you don't get to say Success Principles.
The Success Principles is my go-to one. Essentialism is a go-to one. Something similar to Essentialism is The One Thing, right? The Power of Focus by Jack Canfield. What's soul filling that I read maybe at least once or twice a year is Inspiration, Your Ultimate Calling by Wayne Dyer.
I love that.
Yeah, things that fuel my soul, fuels that things that just will challenge me. And if you might have read a certain book like a few years ago, revisits that book you felt has helped you grow, because now you're in a different place. Now you have new insight on different things, and there could be a different message that you didn't catch the first time. And so revisiting those books, like The Big Leap, I'm going to dive into, is something that's important to do. So those are the...
Can I share one more?
Yes. Okay. F.
Okay. So one more is that my favorite book, best new book I read in 2017. It's not new. It had been out for a little while, but new to me. And it actually, Romeo, I'm just remembering this. So It's Time Live last year. Otis Amy recommended the book, The Slight Edge.
Yes. Is it by Jeff Olson?
Jeff Olson, yes. Now, I had that book on my bookshelf, and I hadn't read it. I'd heard of it, a couple of times. Within like a week, Otis and someone else referred it or posted about it online. And I had the strong hit, like, it's time, and you need to read this, it's time. Yeah. So I'd heard of the book and whatever, because I love, collect books here and there. People refer books and things or give them to me as gifts. And I read that, and by far my favorite book of 2017. And it would definitely be in my top 5, because it's all about the simple compound interest concept. So simple and doable, but he's the one who makes the point that a lot of times, it's easy to do and it's easy not to do. And it's not something, unless with time you really notice a difference. Like if I ate a cheeseburger and fries today for lunch, which I didn't, and occasionally I will do that. But if I was doing that just today, it's no big deal. It's not going to add up to much. But if I'm eating a cheeseburger and fries every day or even twice a day, you get some time behind that choice. That one simple choice isn't a big deal as a singular choice, but with time and consistency, or otherwise known as a habit, that becomes a really big deal. So the same thing as if, you save a penny or double a penny a day. Well, by 30 days, it's $1 million. So you're like, oh, yay, a penny. Oh, yay, it's 2 cents or it's 4 cents or it's 8 cents. No big deal. But it's that same concept of the small and simple. When that becomes, you change the trajectory of your path by doing that. But when I was reading it, I just felt like so doable. And I implemented, that's when I first started implementing that I'd get moving at least 15 minutes a day, because not every day do I go to the gym or things. Sometimes I do that, but the lack of movement and too much sitting and writing and so forth at a desk like we're doing right now. Mm-hmm. I did get my workout in today already though, but it's at least 15 minutes a day. And I was like, I can commit to 15 minutes, whether it's a walk or it's a workout or it's a hike. It might be short and it might be longer, but the reality is that habit, how that's shifted me back into some of those healthier habits.
Mm-hmm. I got to revisit that book, because I read that book like 3 years ago or something like that. But as you're just speaking on that, I'm like, yep, that's definitely one of those. And if you say one of your top 5 and it's the book for 2017 for you, that means something.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, anything else that you want to tell people that are out there, living their entrepreneur life and just want to help them upgrade and up level and step into their business greatness?
Yeah, something that I just feel prompted to share. So I'll honor that. It's kind of a combination between something I heard on Essentialism today in my audiobook time, and something I listened to on a podcast with Oprah Winfrey and Sean Achor. Sean Achor is the author of a book. I promise I'm not trying to tuck one more book in here, but he's the author of the book, The Happiness Advantage, and he's taught happiness courses at Harvard. And it's fantastic research. As the concept is, are successful people happier? Well, that's not determined. What is determined or research supports is that happier people are more successful. Mm-hmm. And prioritizing joy or prioritizing happiness in your life, especially when you're an entrepreneur like myself. I mean, I'm directly responsible for making the money, fulfilling the projects, doing the marketing. I have a great virtual assisting team that helps me with a lot of technology back end, but I mean, I am the business, and I realize some people have massive teams and companies of, thousands of employees, and everyone's a little different, but is to prioritize joy in your life. And then so similar, I had listened to that podcast, I think Saturday, and I've followed some of Sean's work for a couple of years. So he wasn't new to me, but just the reminder of it. And then today, what happened to be the section of my audiobook piece with Essentialism was talking about the power of play. And one of the best things you can do to stay fresh, that you can have joyful thoughts, that you can be more calm and more concise in decision making, as well as creativity, is to really prioritize play. So play and joy and happiness is that it's not just frivolity, it's not being irresponsible, but it really is being in a space where, again, everything's energy. And I know if you want to invite the muse, or you want creativity, or you want to feel more productive, a lot of times it's because you've taken time to play. And so like for me right now, I'm really feeling like excited about 2018 and new goals. But truly, I took about almost a full month off around the holidays, from about December 8th until about January 6th or 7th or so.
Wow.
Really about January 5th. I mean, I had a few little projects, and I maybe would work 5 to 6, 7 hours. It wasn't that I didn't work at all, but I played so hard and just did all the fun things and all this holidaying. And so then I'm ready and thrilled to come back and do some creative projects and work on this website. And, I speak, at different things and things, projects that are coming up, my excitement level is totally fresh because I'm feeling like my joy tank's pretty full, you know? Now, some of you may say, well, I can't take a month off. No, but what about putting, you know, an hour to 2 hours a week in your life somewhere where if you go, you know, get a massage or go for a hike or finger paint with your kids or go to the park or something, you know, just a variety of things that can help you really fill up the joy tank. I have a video series on YouTube called Self-Care Equals Success. In video 3, it's a 3-part series. Video 3 talks about creating your own joy list. And I think that's so valuable. So even though, again, it's not, hey, get out the flip chart or this is the latest technology, I think one of the things that all humans can do, and especially entrepreneurs, is to make sure they still put play in their life as a part of how they're going to be more this year than what they've been.
Yeah, so important. I think that is probably one thing that I'm very intentional about to fill up that joy tank. And one of them being yesterday, I definitely got a massage and, you know, just being with nature. And it could be anything that just really fuels you, because my joy list might be different than Tiffany's, and Tiffany's might be different from yours. So, you know, definitely identify that. And if you want more information on that, again, Tiffany has that video on her YouTube channel. So to wrap this up, because I know we could go on and on and on and on.
Yeah, hey, little party.
Where can people find you, connect with you, and all that good stuff?
Yeah, you can find me. My main website is tiffanyspeaks.com. You can find me on Instagram at Tiff Peterson, which is my favorite place to play. And then also, of course, I love Facebook too. You can find me there. But I do have a podcast coming out. You'll be able to find me on iTunes soon enough. I have a current podcast on there, but it will be changing. So yeah, some juicy outlets and ways. There's also a free training on my website, Tiffany Speaks, that's super content rich, that walks you through setting some goals and clarity and strategies of goal setting, where rather than just from an idea to how to make it become a reality, you can find on my website too. So, but thanks for having me, Romeo. I'm excited to see you in a few weeks, and
yes, and
fun
again,
to connect with you and your tribe, and just love what you're doing and what you're up to. And so, yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. And yes, she is going to be one of the superstar speakers at It's Time Live, taking place February 10th to the 11th. If you want more information on that, go to itstimelive.com. And thank you, Tiffany. Thank you for being you. Thank you for sharing your spirit, soul, and love, because it is needed in this world. All right, Tiff, talk to you soon, girl.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you.